Hi, we are Lynn
and Nisha,
and you're watching BTS MVP. Welcome to another episode of BTS MVP, where we pick out our favorite member who gives us the most iconic moment in some of their biggest hits. But first, let's talk about the drink of the day.
Today's drink of the day is Coca-Cola, in honor of the Vocaline's Indonesian Coca-Cola ad and J-Hope mentioning cola in the song Boys with Fun.
I lost my mind in the city of light. And the best street bells and the neon lights.
The song of the day is...
Today's song is I Need You, in honor of the fact that it just passed 100 million views on YouTube. Great job. It's from Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1.
Put them in the spotlight.
It won a lot of awards, and it was a different kind of direction for them musically, and so it got them a lot of attention. So let's jump right in and talk about our honorable mentions on this song before we get to the MVP.
Let's.
You want to go first?
All right, so Jimin, he gets a whole chorus in I Need You, which is, not nothing.
I need you, girl. 왜 혼자 사랑하고 혼자서만 이별해? I need you, girl. 왜 다칠 거라면서 자꾸 네가 필요해?
And he also gets the two parts that are You're Beautiful and You're So Cold. He says that in
the
Korean.
Little highlight vocals in the chorus there. Yeah.
Which I find very memorable, and I think of when I think of I Need You. And then he also has the featured high note with Jungkook, and then more high notes in the background solo.
Right close to the end, he has like a big high note.
Yes.
He goes like, baby, over like all of the vocal. It is true. He is in this song quite a lot, and up until this song, I felt like they kind of didn't know what to do with Jimin.
Yeah, he was just a singer.
Yeah, and they made use of his higher voice, but his overall look and the way that they incorporated him into music didn't quite fit with what we now know as the Jimin fairy prince aesthetic.
Definitely.
And this song wasn't quite there yet,
no.
But I feel like it was like step number one towards moving Jimin in that direction, and so it was an important song for him. But I have to say, despite the fact that he has a huge part in this song, he is not who I think of when I think of this song.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even the You're Beautiful part?
No, I know. Yeah.
The body rolls.
I know.
He rocks it.
He does really, but I don't know. For me, I'm going to throw my honorable mention in this song to Suga, which is kind of weird because he has literally one word in this song that makes all the difference. And this is a prime example of what we mean when we say we play this game because it creates like a memorable moment or an iconic moment. It's not really about who has the biggest part. So if you know this song at all, you know that just before the first chorus, there's a swear word. And I don't want to say it, so I'm going to let Suga say it. Suga.
Good job, Suga.
Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel.
He says it, and then there's a little giggle afterwards if you listen closely, which is very cute. And it surprises me that they got away with it, because some of their other songs have been banned for questionable language or weird phrasing, and this one has an outright swear word in it. Never seemed to raise any red flags, and they even use that word when they're performing it live. I don't know. I don't know why it was a big moment for me, but it's what I most strongly associate with this song.
You want to know why it was a big moment for you?
Why?
Yeah, basic.
All right, time to talk about our MVPs. All right, so for today's MVP, we are once again not in agreement, but for both of us, the other one's pick for MVP is our second choice and our top honorable mention. So we're gonna talk about them both. And why don't you go ahead and go first? Who's your MVP, Nisha?
My MVP is JK. Jungkook has a really big part in this song. He gets 2 choruses compared to Jimin's 1 chorus.
Nice.
And he also gets to share the killing high note with Jimin, which is a notable moment.
Beautiful.
And he also gets, at the very beginning, he gets to say, fall,
Everything.
fall,
Everything.
fall,
Everything.
which I really love. And I think of Jungkook when I think of the beginning of I Need You.
Everything, everything, everything. 흩어진 내 everything, everything. 떨어진 내.
He also gets to say the song title like 1,000 times.
Yeah. When you hear that I need you in the song,
Jungkook.
it's almost always
all the way.
It's almost always Jungkook. Yeah. So Jungkook for me, I think, is a huge part of this song, and I really thought that he was going to be my MVP. But then the more I listened to the song, the more I had to give the MVP to RM for same reasons that you use. For me, this song is really about that opening part, the fall everything. Like that is the most beautiful part for me and the part I think of the most. But for me, it's RM saying everything. That really
Hits you in your feels.
It gives you the feels, yeah. And then on top of that, he has a really good rap in this song where he goes, I go down and down. And then he has a counterpoint in his rap provided by V, which is very beautiful, and I really like all that.
like the harmonizing between RM and V. It was a good moment.
It was a very beautiful moment.
It goes round and round. 나 왜 자꾸 돌아오지? 하고 down and down. 이쯤 되면 내가 바보지. 나 무슨 짓을 해봐도 어쩔 수가 없다고. 분명 내 심장, 내 맘, 내 가슴인데 왜 말을 안 하냐고. 또 혼자 말았네. 또 혼자 말았네. 또 혼자 말았네. 또 혼자 말았네. 넌 아무 말 안 해. 하셔봐 내가 잘할게. 하늘은 또 파랗게. 하늘은 또 파랗게.
And then in the chorus, he also gets the I need you, girl, where he shouts.
Doesn't he get the I hate yous as well when they're performing live?
So I've seen them recording I Need You.
Yeah.
And all of them are in the booth shouting those lines.
Except for RM. He's in the booth,
he
but
is
I don't think
there.
he's shouting.
Yeah, I don't know. But I will say that when they perform it live, he is the one who sings those parts. You can see that in this clip. I guess it's an RM part. Like I certainly when
If I had to pick one member, I would pick RM.
I hear his voice when those parts come.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so all of those little highlight touches combined with the opening bit make this an RM song for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun facts about I Need You. I Need You is the first video that's part of the BTS Universe. And if you're new to BTS, or maybe if you haven't gone so deep into the greater BTS world, you might not have heard of it. BTS Universe is a fictional story that incorporates a lot of their music from the Most Beautiful Moment in Life era. And it sort of imagines a world where the 7 members didn't form BTS, but instead had completely different storylines in which they were 7 buddies who hung out together and all had very tragic backstories. And
The trauma alone.
so sad.
Like they were in a room brainstorming and they were like, okay, what would your trauma like to be? And then BTS was like, yo, we have to have trauma. And they were like, okay, dead parents.
That's the least of it. Anyway, I Need You is the first video that tells that story, and the story is told through a bunch of their music videos from that era, as well as a webtoon called Save Me, as well as little notes that were inserted into most of their album releases, and all of that bundled together makes for this story that you can put together with Patchwork. We've read it all, we've watched it all, we've seen it all.
The novels as well.
Yeah, the novels I think are made up of the notes from the albums. They're put together and then they're translated. Anyway, we recommend it. I have to say, we are very invested in that story and in that storyline, and they're now apparently turning it into a drama called K-drama called Youth. So we'll
not
be
starring
for
BTS though.
Sadly, no, but with the characters named after the members of BTS,
gonna be weird.
which has been a little controversial. Yeah, some people feel like they shouldn't use their real names, but I definitely would not be as invested in this story if I didn't think it was really a potential parallel universe of BTS in some way. Anyway, we'll put a link to all of the BTS Universe stuff in our description if you want to follow up on that. And now for a new segment.
How do you say don't fart in English? Don't gas.
Why? Great joke. Great joke.
Thank you.
So those are our reasons why I Need You will always be an RM song for me.
And a Jungkook song for me.
We'll put all the links to all the clips that we used in our description, so be sure to check those out. And lots of special treats in there, different versions of I Need You that you should watch if you haven't watched them yet.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you have different opinions, comment if you agree with us, comment if you have even watched the video. And hit that notification bell so you know when we update with our new videos.
We'll see you next time. This has been BTS MVP.